You mentioned that you talked with the president. What did he say to you, and what did you take from his comments yesterday to the governor of Georgia? What that might mean for South Carolina?
Well, it sounded like he disagreed with what the governor of Georgia did, who is doing what he thinks is best based on the advice and the information that he has. We see it a little differently here, but I imagine every state is going to see it a little differently. But we're going to get information, advice, guidance from the very talented people that were in this room today, as well as some different groups that are forming in cities and certain professions to figure out the best thing, the details of what we need to do, how to get South Carolina back to work strong, to regain our competitive advantages that we had when the virus came along, without putting people's lives at risk. So we've got a lot of work, and as you heard from these different types of institutions, that every one size doesn't fit all. It's going to take a lot of thinking, a lot of planning. Of course, we've been getting information from a number of these people here today all along, and we'll continue to do that.
Are you worried that what Georgia is doing could lead to a spike there that could spread over to South Carolina?
Well, I think we're all worried that whatever anybody does could lead to a spike. We're looking to see what the other states, other cities come up with, ideas. That you have a lot of advisors, a lot of professional people that are writing articles about what's happened in other countries and what's worked and what hadn't worked. So as you heard here today, everyone is concerned that everyone wants to get back to work, but nobody wants to have anybody else get sick. We have to be very careful. And so that's what we are going to attempt to do step by step, probably be little steps. We're not going to rush into it. We're not going to move until we have good reason to move based on the science, the data, and all the information and the brain power that we can put together, as you saw in this room today.
Governor, do you have any early reactions to how folks are complying with the orders that you've lifted? I know there's some citations issued in Horry County dealing with being too close to people.
Well, I think we're doing very well. We're still under the state of emergency order, and that means that automatically the price gouging rules are in effect, as you have heard from the Attorney General, and also that the congregation rule of 3 or more causing problems or threats to whatever the dangers are, and that in this case includes a threat to health. So we do have, the law enforcement has the tools they need to remedy those situations. We haven't had to use that many times, but I think compliance has been good overall in South Carolina, and that's why we took the steps that we've taken before. And it's very careful, as you noticed from listening to Superintendent Spearman yesterday and other days, that the decision about the schools was one that had to be made very, very carefully. And there are a lot of factors that went into it, and I think we made the right decision there. I think we've made the right decisions all along. We just want to keep on making them.
Governor, there's been some criticism of the makeup of this group that you assembled. Not enough scientists, not enough black representation. What's your response?
I think this is as fine a group from all segments of South Carolina life as I've seen in one room in a long time. The talent and the experience is extraordinary, and the willingness of these people, all of whom have very busy lives, to come and do this, probably with the exception of Dr. Pastides, who's in Ireland, and he was on the tube there. He wasn't here today, but everybody was here. He was there. I mean, he's a highly renowned epidemiologist. We have highly renowned epidemiologists in DHEC. We have highly capable people in all the agencies, and this group is an extraordinary group.
Dr. Bell said on TV today, a TV interview, that we need 14 days of cases going down before we have mass gatherings, or even before people should go to church together. What do you think of that?
Well, Dr. Bell I think she's right. I think she is a premier epidemiologist. We always listen to her. I think it's important that we do that social distancing, and that's what we've been doing.
Governor, based on the comment that Mayor Hadley made and some other local officials are making, do you think you and the General Assembly are going to have to look at maybe some aid to local governments, much like the federal government giving aid to the state?
Well, that's right, but the question is, where's it going to come from? Because as you know, the economy is depressed. The predictions, one good bit of news, of course, it was anticipated we would have about a $1.8 billion surplus this year. Well, we're probably not going to have that, pretty sure about that, but that means we may not go in the hole as much as some of the other states are. But we're going to have to use every means at our disposal to find a way to get South Carolina back to work. The federal government is pumping a lot of money, even more and more every day, into all sorts of institutions as well as the unemployed people. But this could take a lot of work, a lot of thinking, and as it was mentioned today, a lot of coordination of all these things to be sure we're not overlapping where we don't need to, but we're reaching all the areas that we need to. So every option is on the table. How it'll end up, we don't know, but we're going to work it carefully, safely. We're not going to put the health at risk, but we must get the economy moving because their families, their children, their futures that are depending on going to school, having a job, and we must get our economy moving.
Brian Gaines said that y'all have already gotten part of the federal stimulus money and more is coming this week. How will you work with legislators to decide how to
Well, that's why we had some here today. They were appointed by the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate to get the firsthand understanding of what it was talking, the issues being addressed here today, and we'll continue to do that because all of this money has to go to different things in the state. A lot of it will be ruled strictly by the federal rules under which it is sent to us, but there will be some flexibility. There'll be some decisions have to be made, and we want advice from every source, including, of course, the General Assembly. Yes, ma'am.
Close contact businesses, are there any guidelines that your office is going to put out in terms of helping them get back?
Well, that's what we're working on here. That's one of the things. Those close, you mean like the barbers and the hair salons? I know other states are doing that. I'm not sure what they've done in other countries, but I know that we will get all the best information we can and try to apply that, see how it impacts what we do here. But it's not time to do that. It's time to work on it and try to decide what we're going to do to have the best plan, to find the best ways. But it's not time to open those close contact businesses yet in this state, we think.
Governor, we're hearing from some people that say since they've been back to work that the places that they're working at are not providing proper safety or PPE for them at work. Is there any plan for you guys to require that those businesses provide that to their workers?
Well, we have required social distancing. We'll continue to require what we can. Of course, a lot of times a lot of the businesses are unable to receive the kind of equipment. That brings up other questions. But the private businesses are on the market seeking it. We've already exhausted the national stockpile. We had 3 shipments from that. The Emergency Management Division is in the field every day seeking supplies, and that's supplied out to the counties for them to distribute. So we're going to do everything we can to see that there are plenty of the protective equipment so people can go back to work. But ultimately, it depends on every individual understanding that they have to be their own doctor. They have to take care of themselves. They have to follow those rules that we've heard over and over from every information source, as we're washing your hands, keeping that distance. If you're sick, stay home. But the government does have a role to play, and that is to use every avenue that we can to see that that's available in our state, and we've been doing that. We keep an account, and we're going to keep doing it.
Governor, what sort of markers are you going to be looking for in terms of the next wave of whatever openings are coming up? I mean, you know, you've already said that the 14-day recommendation from the White House in terms of, you know, declining cases that they want to see before things start opening up. That's just a guideline.
That's a guideline,
So
and
what are you looking for
there's no real marker. You have to take all the factors into consideration, such as the compatibility of the different institutions opening at different times, the level of compliance among the people. If you have bad compliance, then you could have a decline, and then if you open something up and you have bad compliance with social distancing, then it's all for naught. So the social distancing, what we call that now, and the personal hygiene and all those things are really paramount in this. If we don't practice those things, then whether we stay open or closed, we're still going to have problems.
Governor, we're hearing about a couple of protests too, that people are planning to come to the State House tomorrow to protest to get the state more fully open. What would you say to those folks that are coming out and want to see more action taken on top of what you've done?
I say that this is America. Yeah, everybody has a right of assembly, a freedom of speech, and we welcome anybody who wants to say anything to come on out and say it. We might learn something from them.
And what about absentee voting in the June primaries? Any plan to expand on that?
Well,
Any other voting changes for?
Those things are governed by law, and there would have to be changes in the law. As you know, our General Assembly is out right now. They need to come back and make those changes. What we're urging people to do is to use absentee ballot to the very fullest and get all the information out about that. We have those kind of tools are available without a change in law. We'll try to want to be sure that that's adequate to meet the challenge, but those are the kind of things that are under discussion, consideration that we're concerned about right now.
Two more. But Governor, along that line, when we're talking about poll workers who will have to go out there regardless,
there you go.
Money to maybe beef up PPE for these workers that have to be open?
We want to be sure that everyone is protected by what we call social distancing, by having the protective equipment, and that they're following the rules, and we'll do all that we can to be sure that is accomplished, because voting is one of the most important things we do in a democracy.
Do you believe concern about catching coronavirus is reason enough to request an absentee ballot?
I would think we'd have to see what the law says. The law has a lot of reasons for an absentee ballot. It's very flexible. It's very broad. There are a lot of reasons to do that. I think that if people are concerned, they should talk to get the information about the law provides, and if it is not adequate, then we can try to address it. But we're encouraging people to use those absentee ballots if they can. If they would prefer to go in and vote, do, but be sure to practice that social distancing.
Thanks, guys.
Well, you said that this group will meet for a month. Anything that you heard today to think that reopening the economy, or even that this group should go past 30 months, do you think it'll take longer than you initially thought?
Do I think it'll take longer to do what?
To reopen the economy?
Well, I mean, there are parts of it that are open now. There are parts that were never, as you heard, the manufacturing they were limited by the market. They had to close down some. But there are parts of the economy that were probably not effective. There are others that have been hit very, very hard. But we'll see. We're going to get the best advice from the people who can give it from any source. But the group that was assembled here today is a knowledgeable, dedicated, and experienced group as any I've worked with that I can remember. So we're deeply in their debt for their willingness to meet and to meet again and again. We don't think it'll take more than the 30 days that we've asked for their attendance. Won't be 30 days every day, but there'll be a lot of telephoning, a lot of talking going on. The subgroups will be meeting, and we'll probably assemble here maybe one more time, maybe two more times, maybe three, but it'll all depend on how much work we're able to get done, and the facts, the statistics, the science, and the data that drives everything that we're doing. Thank you.